Hey guys, this is Marquez here from the Jones Fitness Firm podcast. Go ahead, like the video, please. Subscribe to my channel, and of course, share. Very much appreciated, guys. In today's podcast, we have a hometown hero named Lee, who's going to tell his story about how he changed his body, dropped some pounds, and then became a personal trainer. There's some gems to listen to in this podcast. Check it out. Thanks for watching. See you next time. All right, what's up, man? You ready for it?
Yeah, man, ready,
All right,
ready.
here we go, man. So go ahead and give me what's your background like, man? Give me an introduction on yourself.
All right, so basically, I guess I'll start into how I got into personal training. I
Yeah, go for it.
so when I was in my 20s, I wasn't really living a healthy lifestyle. I had bad eating habits, ate fast food 2 or 3 times a day. I was a single guy, so I didn't do any cooking or anything, and I wasn't very active. So I ended up gaining a lot of weight. I was skinny as a kid, but then I ended up gaining a lot of weight in my 20s. And, before I knew it, I was, 50, 60 pounds overweight. And, it just didn't work for me, man. I would see pictures of myself and I said, man, who is this guy in this picture? I mean,
Wasn't a
don't know
good
what,
look, huh?
yeah, I couldn't recognize the guy. So I made excuse me, choking up.
There's water in there, man.
Anyway, man, I made the decision to, start exercise. I like to run, so I started running all the time. And, I lost some weight by running a lot and things, but, I was noticing that even though I was losing a little bit of weight, I still really didn't like the way I looked. So um, I got into weightlifting. I started doing better with my food, stopped eating so much fast food, tried to lay off the Bojangles, the Taco Bell, stuff like that. And then I really started to notice some changes. And then, that's what ended up leading to me becoming a personal trainer, was me going through that progression myself. But ever since then, man, I've gotten married, got kids. Um, when I didn't go to college for exercise science or anything like that. What I did was I just decided to take an online course and went through accreditation called ISSA, International Sports Sciences Association. Got certified there and started looking for jobs. Found a job at a gym in Apex, North Carolina, and worked there for a couple of years, and then decided to go out on my own, opened up my own studio, and it's just, things have just kind of rolled from there.
That's kind of cool, man. So you're kind of like a homegrown type trainer, that I would call you.
Yes,
Like
yes.
exercise science background like that. You kind of just started changing your lifestyle and then made the changes and got into fitness and that way. That's pretty cool, man. That's probably harder, maybe, I think, maybe, than just like going through school or whatnot, but it's still just as worthy or whatnot, if you ask me. Um, I know you're a family man and you got a new kid, I think.
I do.
How
I
old
do. I
is
got a daughter. She's 9 months old. So I've got a
ooh,
7-year-old and a 9-month-old.
all right. So she's brand new out of there.
Yes, she is. Yes, she is. It changes a lot of things having
Yeah. Tell us
little ones on.
about
You know
that.
that.
What's some of the big
Um,
changes you've had to make in, I guess, probably like in your, staying active and whatnot in your lifestyle with a new kid out there?
yeah. You have to, you have to reorganize your priorities a little bit. Some days it's, if the kid's sick or anything like that, and you were planning on working out, sometimes it's, you know, things that you would do before you had a kid. Now all of a sudden they have to take a back burner. I would say probably one of the main changes I've had to make professionally is I've had to kind of switch up my work hours a little bit. I mean, with being a personal trainer, you have to work around everyone else's schedule. So you're at the gym first thing in the morning, and you're at the gym later in the evening because you're working around the people that work 9 to 5. So it's hard, because you leave the house when the kids are asleep, and you come back home when the kids are asleep. So, you know, if you're working full days, you could go 2 or 3 days and you barely see your kids at all. So I've kind of changed up my, I've had to reprioritize a little bit. You know, I've changed up my work schedule a little bit, trying not to work evenings as much, trying to be at home with the kids a little bit more and things like that. But it's working out pretty well. I've been able to adjust and find clients that are able to work with the times that I can do. So it's you know, it's working out great. But I wouldn't change it for the world. You know, 20 years, 30 years from now, I'll look back and I can always, you know, I can always make more money. You know, I don't want to look back and say I wish I had spent more time with my kids. So
yeah, that's a big one right there. I know for me, I never forget when my first son was born, I was going to go do some squats. And I was on like 315, which was, you know, it's heavy, but nothing crazy. Did the first set, and I was like, yeah, it's not too bad. Did the next set, and the night before, I had like those at first, you know, 4 or 5 hour sleep night. I was like, whoa. Like crap. So that was a big change for me where I had to pull back from heavy lifting for a while.
yeah.
So where you from? Again, where you from, Lee?
I'm originally from Durham.
Okay.
From Durham, North. I live in Raleigh, North Carolina now. I was born and raised in Durham. In this area, it's not too often you find people that are actually from here anymore. Most people have relocated here. Yeah. But born and raised in Durham, and then I moved to Apex when I became a trainer because I found a job there, and then I met my now wife. I always tell people, you know, she lived in Raleigh, I lived in Apex. I wanted to stay in Apex. She wanted to stay in Raleigh, so now I live in Raleigh. You know how that goes.
that sounds about right for the most part. So how long you been training for? For how long?
So I've been a trainer for about 7.5 years now.
Okay. Good time there. So what's your philosophy? What's your training style, Lee? How do you go about that when you get a new client in there? How do you handle that?
Well, what I try to do, I try to make sure that I'm accommodating to the person that I'm working with. I try to make sure that all of my training regimens are structured just for that particular person, because, you know, as you well know, I mean, you know, you can have one client, you know, come in 1 hour that has totally different needs than the next client. All things being equal, I try to do kind of a cross training style of workout where we do weightlifting, but we also do, you know, short cardio bursts in between, things like that, you know, spike the heart rate. So I would definitely say, you know, I tend to prefer more of a cross training style where we incorporate the weightlifting and the cardio together. I feel like you kind of get the most bang for your buck doing it that way. But, you know, with some clients that just doesn't work. You know, I've got a couple of clients that are more almost like rehab clients where, you know, they're, you know, could be a little bit older, or they've had some injuries, some health problems in the past. And so, you know, that kind of style may not necessarily work for them. So, you know, you always have to be willing to adjust. I would say probably one of the complaints I hear from clients about previous trainers they've worked with was that, you know, sometimes the trainers just aren't willing to adjust. You know, some trainers, they just want to wear their clients out no matter who it is. And sometimes you might be working with people that just doesn't work for them. One of my clients told me one day, he said he used to work with a female trainer, and he said he had to stop working with her because she was going to kill him.
Oh yeah, that's the whole point of that whole personal training thing in there.
Exactly.
Everybody's going to be a little bit different.
Right. And I think sometimes people miss that point. It's about personal training, not just a cookie cutter format that works for everyone.
Yeah. Sometimes it's not on purpose. It's just like kind of a style that they thought that worked for everybody. However, you know, we all have those, you know, people that don't fit that protocol, and you got to change up a little bit.
Yeah.
So, what are your go-to exercises? Like, somebody come in, the average person you have that come in, what do you always have them do? Like, what are your favorite exercises that you always hit in there?
Normally, so as long as they don't have any underlying health concerns, normally one of the first things I go to when I'm working with someone new, I like to see them do squats first. And because Usually what I find, people that don't have a lot of exercise experience, they just butcher squats. I mean, you tell them to do squats and they look like they're bending down to pick something up off the floor. You know, their heels come up off the ground and, you know, they just have terrible form. So I always like to see people do squats first, just to see what that squat form looks like. Because, you know, the foundation of any good workout regimen is going to be working your legs. And if you don't have the fundamentals of the squat down, then, you know, that's going to be a problem, because, you know, squats, lunges, you know, lots of, you know, even if you're doing plyometrics, things like that, you know, having that good technique with the squat is so important. You know, you know, you got to protect your knees, you know, you need to protect your back. So that's usually my go-to first of all. And then also I like to see someone do a plank on the first session as well, just to give me an overall assessment of where's their core strength.
So going back to the squats for a second, do you kind of use a squat like as an assessment of some sort, or do you kind of just pick and choose a little bit?
I actually do, because, you know, I want to make sure they have good technique, but also, you know, you get someone in there on the first day, you have them do some squats, and I usually won't like load up a barbell. You know, first I have them just do air squats. I just want to see the technique, but, you know, it can tell me a lot of things. You know, if I get them doing squats on their first day and they say, oh, this hurts my knees, or this is hurting my hip, or this is hurting my back, then yeah, that can tell me something. I mean, that, you know, that might be something that they didn't even know was the problem. So that tells me right away, okay, you know, there's something going on here. We need to adjust. But you know, like I said, I think it's just a very foundational exercise that is very important to, you know, make sure we've got good technique with that. But yeah, I also do use that as an assessment tool as well.
Okay. And you said planks too. Why do you like planks so much? I got one guy who's gonna probably watch this and be like, "Oh my God!" But why are planks so cool?
Well, I know now, and I've heard some people say, "Oh, you know, planks are a waste of time" or stuff like that. Some people, I hear some mixed opinions about planks. Just to me, planks, because it is a total core exercise, you know, and it's more than that. I mean, you're working the full body. And so if I have someone do a plank on a first session and they're shaking after 5 seconds, then I know we've got a lot of work to do on their core, you know. Or if they, you know, if they get into a plank and, you know, after 5-10 seconds they're complaining their back hurts, you know, there's an issue there that we have to address. So, you know, but if someone comes in on a first day and they're able to knock out a minute plank and they make it look easy, then it lets me know, okay, they've got, you know, pretty decent core strength. So I just feel like it's a good assessment of the overall core strength.
There we go. I had one guy who was talking about what's the guy from YouTube, Jeff Cavalier, and he was going on why the plank is so bad and all these different reasons why. And I think he was trying to get views more than anything else. Which we will too here, obviously, but that's another story.
I think people on YouTube, they like to hit those hot buttons to get clicked. But
I'm
you know,
but one day.
Well, you know, and I've seen, you know, I've heard other people say that, you know, I read articles that say planks are not good, but you know, you can take almost any exercise and you can find an article or you can find someone that tells you that it's not good. So, you know, it's just kind of the nature of it.
Yeah. You can go easily find something and dissect it and find a reason why it is bad, you know. However, we're looking for all those positives and stuff.
Oh, absolutely.
So you like squats, you like planks. Me too, by the way. What don't you like? What's like one of like those most like not hated exercises, but what's something that, you know, has been like a bad theme of exercise that you've seen come through the gym? What do you think? Get a pick.
You mean like something that almost like something that I see other people do that I don't like, or
just in general, you know. I mean, like I have a few exercises that I don't do a bunch of just because they're easy to jack up and go wrong, or high risk. Or whatever.
I tell you, one exercise, and I'm upfront with my clients about this. One exercise I have my clients do a lot that I hate doing myself is weighted step ups. I hate them. You know, when you're stepping up on a step or a box or something, and you're holding dumbbells. I have my clients do those all the time, and maybe I have my clients do it as like it's like an evil plot because I hate doing them so much. I have my clients do them, and I'll do them every now and then. But man, I hate them. I hate them. So I generally stay away from
Why
them.
do you
I
hate
just
them
don't
so
like
bad? Is it just because they're hard, or just in general,
it's.
or what do you think?
Yeah, it's hard. It's hard. It spikes your heart rate up really high. You get really winded. It's just something about that exercise, man. I've never liked it, man. And I'll do it. I think I'll do it every now and then just to be able to tell my clients, yeah, I do these. But yeah, I hate them, man. And none of my clients really like them that much either. But I have them do it anyway. So
Okay. So tell me about as far as, because you used to work in a regular gym before the studio. What member comes in off the street and start doing a workout on a piece of equipment? What's like one of the most, I guess, once again, hated pieces of equipment you've seen somebody use in like the worst fashion?
I would say, oh yeah. So you've got, so I would say probably, well, one of them is the cable machine, just because I'll see people just do some random off the wall stuff on a cable machine, and they would do an exercise, and you can tell what they think they're doing and what they're actually doing. For example, I see people, they're trying to do tricep push downs, with a rope, but they're just using way too much shoulders, or they're just, going way too fast, or they're just flinging the rope down, or, you see people just see people doing all kinds of funky stuff on the cables. And you're just like, I think I know what you're trying to accomplish here, but it's just all wrong.
Yeah. I see
So
that
that's kind of a,
people do. They'll be trying to simulate like a golf swing movement. It could be like a wood chop or a twist they're trying to really do, and it's too high or it's too low, and you're like, "What are you doing, man?" Most times I would go over and say something to them. Sometimes it's like, I can't right now. I'm not
yeah. I try not to be that guy, man. If I see somebody doing something in the gym when I'm just in there working out or something, or if I'm with a client, I try not to be that guy to just go up and start correcting people's form. But if I see you doing something, I'm like, okay, this guy's going to hurt himself, then I might go say something. I try not to be that guy if I can.
So speaking of more, I guess, negative things about the fitness industry, what's one of the I guess we call it one of the fibs or lies that you hear a lot of out there, that if you could change it in the industry, what's that one thing you think you try and change?
I think the biggest misconception that people have is that you can out exercise bad nutrition.
You
I
can't do
think
that? Are you serious?
So, yeah, maybe you can. I don't know. A lot of people try to do it. That's for sure. I've got, I've worked with people. They were hell bent on trying to make sure they could prove that. But yeah, I mean, I think a lot of people, they come in with the preconceived notion that, okay, I've got a trainer now. I'm going to work out hard every day, and I can still just eat whatever I want.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of that is people see these infomercials and things where, somebody's using, a piece of ab equipment that costs $19.99, and they see this guy with these ripped abs, they say, just use this machine twice a week for 20 minutes a day or something like that. And, they forget that, all the other things that come along with that, and nutrition is
So as far as like, I guess like mentors or just in general, is there anybody that you looked up to, like when you were starting to get into your journey or whatnot of exercising, dropping your pounds, and then becoming a trainer and whatnot? Who's your idol? Who you look up to?
The thing is, I don't know that I would necessarily say I would have like an idol in the fitness industry. I would say more that, I look up to people that are, actually kind of, my idols are kind of like people that are more like entrepreneurial, people that, the people that came from very little and, made something great. And, whether it's in, the fitness industry or whether it's, a Fortune 500 company, I really kind of idolize people that, came from very little and really turned it into something. So I don't know that I necessarily have one person that I really look to, but I do read a lot, and I follow a lot of people that are entrepreneurs and things like that. And, and I think that does kind of relate to, the journey that I went through with losing all the weight and things like that, where, I'm sure a lot of these people, when they were, younger, had nothing, you would have never thought that these people, turned into something really great. And, 15 years ago, you would have never thought that I would have been a personal trainer. I was totally out of shape, just sitting around on the couch playing video games all day. I mean, that was my lifestyle. And so I feel like I was able to kind of spin that into something. So I try to emulate people that, that have a background that, that they did, they just didn't have things given to them, that they really worked hard for it. So,
Okay.
Anybody that works hard to get where they are and they come from nothing to something, that's who I idolize. I try to emulate that.
Okay. That's pretty cool, man. I like that. So we know you don't like step ups and whatnot, but where are you at right now in your personal journey and whatnot? Like, what are your fitness goals or anything that you're trying to accomplish right now, or are you kind of at like maintenance?
I try not to ever be in maintenance mode, man. I feel like if I ever get to where I feel like I'm in maintenance mode, then I'm going to start, slacking off a little bit. Actually, I'm trying to lift a little bit heavier, trying to put on a little more size. I used to be a little bit bigger, a little stronger than I am now. Hurt my neck about 5 years ago, herniated a disc in my neck. So that kind of put it into me trying to lift heavier.
How'd you do that? What happened? Was it an accident or something?
No, it wasn't it wasn't any kind of trauma or anything. I think it was just maybe, I noticed it one day when I was at the gym that my neck started to spasm, started to tighten up. I don't know if it was any particular exercise.
It just happened over time, maybe.
I think it just happened over time, and my neck started to spasm. I started losing some feeling in my right arm. My thumb was tingling a lot, things like that. So I barely lifted weights at all for about 6 months after that. Thankfully, I never had to have surgery or anything like that. I just rehabbed it. But I'm trying to put on a little more size right now. But I always try to make sure that it's always something. I try to make sure either I'm trying to put on more size or I'm trying to trim my core a little more. I always feel like I have to have some kind of goal to be striving for. Or else I'll get complacent and then, I'll start kind of slacking off a little bit. So I always try to make sure I'm striving for something.
So adding a little size on probably, what's your workout look like right now? What's your structure for your workouts?
So right now I'm doing a 5-day training split. Actually, I'm sorry, a 6-day training split right now. So I've got 2 leg days. I sprinkle some abs in on my leg days. I've got a chest day, a shoulder day, a back day, and a bicep tricep day. So and I'll change that up about every 6 weeks or so. That's just what I'm doing for this 6 weeks. I've got two weeks left on this rotation, but I'll try to split it up. I mean, I'll try to mix it up. Like, so some days or some weeks I'll go to like a push pull for my upper body, or I'll throw in like some full body days where I'm just hitting a little bit of everything. So the main thing to me is, it's more than one way to skin a cat. So, I try to just make sure I keep my body guessing. Basically I go based on if I'm starting to get bored with what I'm doing, then my body is probably getting bored as well. So as soon as your body starts to get bored, then you're going to stop seeing the results.
I think by the time you gotten bored mentally, like it's not fun no more, I think your muscles stop responding probably weeks before that happens.
Right.
It's definitely a thing there. Yeah.
Yep. The funnest time I have working out is the first week of when I change my exercise program.
Yep. Every time. Same thing here. Yep. All right. So what do you see yourself at in the next 5-10 years? Where you going to be at, Lee? What you doing then?
I mean, I'll probably be doing, I could probably similar to what I'm doing right now, just being a dad and a family man, of course, but, in terms of, I'm very into finance, so I like investing, super interested in, investing, doing, stocks, real estate, things like that. So, I'd like to continue to take a more active role doing things like that. As you know, I own a personal training studio, so I'm trying to make the studio a little more self-sufficient to where I don't need to be there all the time to make things run. So I'm hoping, maybe 5 years from now, I'll be in a situation where my business is more self-sufficient. So, and I'm sure I'll still be a trainer 5 years from now. I love being a trainer, but, I want to make sure that, that just in terms of the business, it's a little more self-sufficient where, I'm not needed to be there. So I'd say probably, I probably won't be working as many hours on the floor as I do now, because I have been in like a progression over the last year of cutting back my hours on the floor. But I'll still be on the floor, but probably not as much as I am now. Just trying to be a trainer and a businessman all at the same time. So I'll be somewhere on the road of that, of working on that.
Okay, that's cool, man. I like that. That's cool. So we all know that you can't outwork your bad diet or whatnot. So let's talk about how you eat a little bit here. I'm just curious. What your eating style look like, man? What you doing? Anything special?
So, man, I've always been a grazer. So, man, I snack all the time. They call me at the studio. They call me the snack king because I keep snacks in the kitchen, man. I snack all the time. It's just always been what works for me. I don't take in a ton of calories at one time. I usually only take in a couple hundred calories at a time, but I'll do that throughout the day. Every couple of hours, I'm eating something throughout the day. So that's what works for me.
Yeah.
But everybody's different. That works for me. That doesn't necessarily work for everyone. So.
Yeah, I cannot do that because I'll be just going to town with way too much on stuff.
Yeah, and I've kind of opened up my mind a little bit to different eating styles or different nutrition plans because I know what worked for me. And when I first became a trainer, the way I learned it was doing a balanced diet, eating 5 to 6 times a day, keeping that metabolism working, keep your metabolism going strong. That's the way I learned it. That's the way I did it. And I've had other people have great success doing it that way. So when I first got into training, I was very closed-minded about nutrition. I felt like everybody had to do it that way. But as I've gotten more and more years under my belt, I've learned that's not the only way. I mean, it's, the biggest mistake people make when it comes to nutrition is they think that there's one particular way that it has to be done. People that do keto think, a lot of them think keto is the only way. People that do fasting, they think fasting is the only way. And those are great ways. It works for some people, but that's not going to work for everyone. So it really all depends on the person.
I think it's just like we realize that exercise routines, there's no cookie cutter program you can give to nobody.
Right.
Eating styles are the exact same way. And I think that's part of the fitness industry why we got, a million different ways to do all this stuff is because it all works for somebody in some, really cool fashion, but everybody's not the same. So it's just different from person to person.
Yeah, that's exactly right. That's exactly right.
All right. So you're a grazer. So you're eating a whole bunch, you're eating every few hours or so, but what's your cheat meal look like, Lee?
Man, I'm a sucker for Mexican food, man. I love Mexican food. So yeah, so
rice and beans or cheese.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I the chips and salsa. I love the chips and salsa. I try to when I go. I try to make the better choices. I love the rice. So I don't do it a ton, but I love some hard shell tacos. So I try not to do it too often. But if I have a blow up meal, it could very likely be happening at a Mexican restaurant. So. And I'm not perfect. I try not to. I never try to tell anyone they have to be perfect all the time. I try not to be a hypocrite. I tell my clients I have bad meals from time to time. I'll have a couple of drinks of alcohol over the weekend, so I'm not I never tell anyone, you know, hey, you have to be perfect all the time, because that's just not realistic. You know, that's just, you know, real people have blow up meals. You know, real people drink alcohol. I mean, you have to do what's realistic. So,
so besides fitness, being a family man and whatnot, like what are some of your hobbies? What do you do for fun and whatnot?
well, I've turned into like a finance geek over the past few
I
years.
knew you were gonna say
Man,
that. I knew
yeah,
you were gonna say that for some reason.
you knew I was gonna say it, but man, like, yeah, over the past few years, I've really gotten into market finance. I've taken a couple of courses on market finance. I'm constantly reading about the markets, constantly listening to stock market news. You know, in my car, I don't even listen to music in the car anymore. It's all podcasts and audio books in the car, and most of the time, it's about you know, it's about investing and market finance. I still, you know, I read about things about fitness and stuff enough to stay current or whatever, but I definitely spend most of my downtime, you know, studying the markets. You know, it's something about it, man. I love it, man. I love it.
Who do you listen to, man? Who's your guy?
Oh, it's man, I've got tons of investing podcasts and YouTubers that I listen to, man. It's let's see, I would say well, what got me started was Investors Business Daily. So a guy named William O'Neill, he wrote a book about stock market investing. So that's what got me started. I read his book. So I do listen to the Investors Business Daily podcast, but there's some other great ones, man. The Investors podcast, Invest Talk. Those are all great podcasts, and there's so many of them out there. And I've got lots of YouTubers I listen to, or I watch their videos. I've got probably 10 different ones that the hardest part is trying to watch all of them. You know, it's just having the time to watch them all. But it's so many of them out there. But you do have to be careful about who you listen to when it comes to markets, you know, because some people have an agenda. So sometimes, you know, if they're, you know, they act like they're educating you, but they're really trying to push some kind of product or whatever. So I try to make sure that I'm listening to people that aren't really trying to push like a certain agenda. You know, you want to make sure that you're listening to people that you know, that have kind of a neutral view on things. So.
Yeah, I get it a lot sometimes. Just looking at other stuff besides fitness, where that's the end game, where you're trying to get me to buy something, which might be a cool product or whatnot, but you know.
Right. Well, you know, like I'll listen to like a, you know, and I listen to a podcast about, you know, precious metals. You know, that's obviously a big part of the investing markets, you know, gold, silver, things like that. But I always make sure to take it with a grain of salt, because the producers of the podcast, they also own a precious metals exchange. So their podcast is always going to be pro gold and silver, because they want you to buy gold and silver. So, you know, and they have some good tidbits in there and things like that. But, you know, I make sure to always take it with a grain of salt. You know, no matter what I'm studying or researching, I always try to make sure that I'm seeing where the person's coming from. So, I make sure that, you know, I'm making intelligent decisions and not based on what someone with an agenda told me to do.
Yeah. So what's on your bucket list, man? What are you going to do with yourself besides? I know you want to, you know, be a big old finance guy and all that good stuff, which is cool. I like that. I'll talk more about that one day too. But,
all right.
What do you want to do besides that? As far as bucket list?
I'd say I'm also a big casino guy, man. Maybe that's why I like the stock market so much, because I'm a casino guy. I used to play a lot of poker. I used to play a lot of poker. In my single days, I played poker all the time. But now that I have a family, I don't play that much anymore. I just convinced my wife to go to Vegas with me in February. She's not a big fan of Vegas, but I'm a big casino guy. So I think on my bucket list, I want to travel around to every major casino in America one day. Major casino, because there's so many little ones out there that I can't get to all of them.
Yeah,
I'd like to visit every major casino in America one day. So
that sounds fun, man. I'm all down for some blackjack. Let me know.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I love blackjack. I love poker. I might get hung up on a slot machine every now and then. So I try to stay away from the slot machines if I can. you're walking through the casino and they're just calling you. You know, the bells and the whistles, they're calling you.
Calling your name.
And sometimes I try to run from it, man, but sometimes I pull a hamstring.
What else going on, man? What you want to share with the folks about good old Lee here? What else going on?
No, man, just I just feel blessed to be, have had the opportunities that I've had, man, because before I became a trainer, I had a job where it was just a job, man. I kind of floated around in my 20s. I didn't, I wasn't really doing much of anything. I was just kind of floating from job to job, really not doing much with myself. And, becoming a trainer kind of really set my life on a good path, man, and I'm doing something now where I make a decent living and, and I'm helping people out. So, I feel really blessed to be where I am right now. And it just, and I've only been training 7.5 years, so in a way it feels like a lifetime, but when you think about it, it really hasn't been that long. So, my clients have been very good. I've been very fortunate to have, a lot of great clients that have stuck with me a long time. I've still got clients that have been with me since the very beginning. So I'm just very fortunate to be in the situation I'm in, man. So, able to raise my family, I have, thankfully I'm in a position where I have flexibility, like, here it is 2:00 on a Thursday afternoon. And, I'm sitting at home with my daughter upstairs sleeping, man. So, so I'm just blessed, man.
That's pretty cool, man. You ever heard the correlation as far as people who could be successful, in training and working out, losing weight, getting strong or whatever, some of those same principles and those guidelines like follow over into their regular life. It could be finance or it could be relationship or it could be whatever. But you heard that before ever?
Yeah. Oh yeah. And I'm a true believer in that. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Because, I think that, just like, I train a lot of husbands and wives that, that work out together. And it seems like, people that I work with, the husband and wives that work out together are both of them are working out and have the same goals when it comes to being physically fit. They just genuinely seem like happier couples than ones that don't. When you've got, the husband wants to work out or the wife wants to work out and, the other person's not on the same page, it just, it seems like, the relationship is in better harmony. I just feel like, I don't meet a whole lot of really fit, depressed people. So, not saying it can't happen. I mean, there's some fit people out there that are probably just, probably depressed, but for the most part though, most really fit people are not depressed. And, and I think that does, being physically fit, I think it bleeds over into the rest of your life. So yeah, I truly believe that 100%.
Yeah. It's a big point to take away, I think, for sure, that if you could take the time, to be in shape and do all the things you got to do, which could be, especially if you hadn't done it in a long time or you're getting to start to do it, it could be like, whoa, a lot's going on. But if you get it down pat, everything else in life, I think, definitely correlates to it and makes sense.
Right. The worst excuse in the world is I don't have time to work out, because I've seen people that have so much going on in their life and they still find a way to make time to work out, man. So it's, I say, I have a saying, man, some people will climb over a mountain to go make it to their workout. Some people won't drive over a speed bump to go work out. So it's like, you got some people like all the stars just have to align perfectly in that day for them to go make it to a workout. And you got some people that, their whole day can just be hectic and just get so much going on, but they would still make sure to find time to work out. So, and, I try to lead by example on that, man, because, I have a lot going on, but I try to always make sure that I find time to get in that workout.
Yep, exactly. I think it was me when I was younger, where I was always a strong guy, but if I had a hard day going on, I wouldn't work out. But then I started to realize that every little bit adds up and it counts, I think, eventually. So
it does. It absolutely does.
Go do what you gotta do.
Yep. And
she always says that, anything that you want to do, or you're going to find time for if you want to do it.
That's right. That's exactly right. That's exactly right. People find time to watch Netflix. They find time to watch, watch Hulu and watch all their shows and things like that. But, it's the people that'll tell you they don't have time to work out, but will sit there and, talk to you for an hour about a show they're watching on Netflix. So, yeah, you find time to do the things that you want to do. In my opinion, to say that, oh, I've had a hard day, I can't work out, or I'm stressed out about something, I can't work. That's counterintuitive to me, because, you can't tell me that you're going to feel worse after your workout than you did before your workout, because
exactly.
I train lots of people every day, and nobody walks out that door feeling worse than they did when they walked in. So they might feel tired, but they don't mentally, they don't feel worse than they did when they walked in.
Yep, definitely. All right, man, let's wrap it up. Where can people find you at if they want to come and talk to you about training or whatnot?
So my training studio is Apex Personal Training Studio. We're located, it's called Apex Personal Training Studio. Technically, we're a Cary address, but
oh, is it really?
right. Yeah, technically it's a Cary address. Yeah, so it's right on the border of Apex and Cary, North Carolina. My email address is modifiedfitnesslife@gmail.com. If anybody wants to email me, feel free to email me, or we've got a website as well, aptsfitness.com. Feel free to look me up. I'm always here. I'm around. So.
All right, man. It's been fun. Cool talking to you, man. And we'll do it again at some point, and we'll get some more stuff going on, talk about it. But that's it.
All right, Marquez. Thank you, man. Sounds good.
All right. I'll see you around, man.
All right.